Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. To the happy couple who always did play in the mud. The champagne flutes clinked around me as my sister Alicia's voice carried across the reception hall, dripping with that brand of sweetness that could cut glass. The laughter that followed hit me like a slap, and I felt my cheeks burn as 200 wedding guests turned to look at me and Malik. My name is Amani, and that was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. I should have known Alicia wouldn't let my wedding pass without reminding everyone exactly where I stood in the family hierarchy. There she was, radiant in her designer bridesmaid dress, holding court at the head table, while I sat in my grandmother's altered wedding gown, trying not to let the tears show. Amani, honey, smile. My mother Monica hissed from beside me, her perfectly manicured fingers digging into my arm. People are watching. Of course they were watching. They'd been watching my whole life, waiting to see which Blair sister would stumble first. Spoiler alert, it was always going to be me. Malik's calloused hand found mine under the table, his thumb tracing gentle circles on my palm. When I looked at him, his brown eyes were steady and kind, completely unbothered by the snickers echoing around us. Let them laugh, he murmured, leaning close. We know what we have. I love this man, even covered in a thin layer of dust from the fields he'd been working that morning. Because yes, he had insisted on checking the irrigation system on our wedding day. He was more real than anyone in this room, full of pressed suits and polite masks. I still can't believe you're marrying a farmer, my youngest sister Janelle whispered, sliding into the empty chair beside me. At 27, she was the diplomatic one, always trying to smooth edges worn sharp in our family. I mean, I think it's romantic, but Mom's been popping antacids all week. Thanks for the pep talk, I said, watching Alicia work the crowd like she was running for office. At 31, she had perfected the art of being the golden child. Wharton MBA, corner office in Manhattan, husband who wore $1,000 suits and talked market volatility at dinner parties. Ladies and gentlemen, my father Reginald's voice boomed through the microphone, cutting through the chatter. He stood at the podium, his silver hair perfectly styled, his expression somewhere between resigned and disappointed. I'd like to say a few words about my daughter. My stomach dropped. This cannot be good. Amani has always been unique, he began, and I caught Alicia smirking behind her champagne glass. While her sisters focused on their careers and achievements, Imani chose a different path, a simpler path. The word simpler hung in the air like a judgment. Malik's grip tightened on my hand. She's chosen to marry Malik, a man who works with his hands and understands the value of hard work. Reginald's pause was deliberate, calculated. We wish them happiness in their humble life together. The applause was polite but lukewarm. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue, though I couldn't tell if they were tears of joy or mourning. Your dad's really laying it on thick, Malik said quietly, voice steady despite the insult wrapped in wedding wishes. He's been practicing that speech for weeks, I replied, watching Alicia lean over to whisper something to her husband, Darius. They both laughed, and I didn't need to hear the words to know they were about me. This was my family. The people who should have been celebrating with me were treating my wedding like a funeral for my potential. My college degree, my teaching awards, the small business I'd built selling organic produce. Dismissed because I'd chosen love over status. I stood so abruptly that my chair scraped the floor. The sound cut through the reception chatter, and suddenly everyone was looking at me again. I raised my water glass, too practical to waste good champagne on a toast, and looked directly at my sister. To family, I said, my voice carrying across the room, and to learning who really has your back when it matters. Alicia's smile faltered for a moment, but she recovered quickly, raising her glass with the rest of the room. The toast felt like a line drawn in the sand, though I don't think anyone else realized it yet. Malik leaned in and whispered, "That's my girl." I had no idea how prophetic those words would be. 3 years later, I stood in Alicia's marble-tiled foyer, holding a casserole dish that probably cost less than her doormat. The annual Blair family barbecue was in full swing. The familiar soundtrack of my childhood, clinking glasses, forced laughter, and one-upmanship disguised as conversation, floated from the backyard. "Amani," my mother called as I stepped onto the pristine patio. "There you are. We were just talking about the Hamptons house Darius bought." Of course they were. Alicia glided over in a flowing white sundress. Her smile was as perfectly maintained as her landscaping. "Oh, you brought food," she said, eyeing my casserole. "How thoughtful. Green bean casserole. From our garden," I said, setting it on a catering table beside a professionally prepared spread. "Is it organic?" Darius appeared with a martini, his polo shirt so crisp it could cut paper. "We're just basic." Several family friends turned to listen. "It's homegrown," Malik said quietly, stepping beside me. His jeans were clean but worn, his button-down, simple cotton. Next to Darius's designer everything, he looked like he'd wandered in from another world. "Right, the farming thing." Darius nodded with exaggerated interest. "How's that going? Still playing in the dirt?" "We're doing well," I said evenly. "The farm's been profitable for 2 years." Alicia laughed, like wind chimes in a storm. "Profitable? How adorable." "Darius just closed a deal worth more than your little farm probably makes in a decade." "Actually," my father interjected, walking over with his bourbon, "I've been meaning to ask. This farming venture of yours, when are you planning to do something more substantial with your lives?" "We're happy," Malik said simply. "The work is good. Honest. Honest work," Darius repeated, swirling his martini. "That's one way to put it. Watching you two at family events is like a nature documentary. Here we see the simple farm folk in their natural habitat." Laughter rippled. "At least we sleep well at night," I said before I could stop myself. The laughter died. "What's that supposed to mean?" Alicia asked, voice sharp. "Nothing," I said quickly. "Just that physical work makes you tired." "Who wants to see the new pool house?" my mother chirped, forcing brightness. The group dispersed. Malik touched my arm. "I'm going to check on the truck," he said. He needed air. These gatherings were harder on him than he let on. I stayed by the pool, watching the sun reflect off water that probably cost more to maintain than we spent on groceries. The laughter from the pool house drifted back like a dare. "They're being awful today," Janelle said, appearing with 2 glasses of wine. "Today?" I took the glass. "This is Tuesday for them." She hesitated. "Things have been tense with Darius's work." "Stressed about what?" She glanced around, then leaned closer. "Some investments haven't been going well. Big ones." Before I could respond, Alicia's voice sliced across the patio. "Imani, come settle a debate." I braced myself. "We were discussing career trajectories," Alicia said, smile predatory, "and how you've really found your calling." "What do you call again?" "Subsistence farming." Laughter. "Don't you ever wonder what you could have accomplished if you'd applied yourself?" The words hit like stones. "Some of us dream bigger than vegetable gardens and county fairs," she added. "Real life happens on Wall Street, not in whatever bubble you've created." "You're right," I said quietly. "Real life does happen, and sometimes it happens in ways you never expect." 6 months later, the cracks showed. Calls from my parents dwindled, and when I did catch them, conversations felt strained, as if half the pages were missing from their script. "How's Alicia?" I asked my mother during one awkward call. "Oh, you know Alicia. Always busy," she said, then fled the conversation with an excuse I didn't buy. The next flag came at Janelle's birthday dinner in a small Italian place downtown. "Where's everyone else?" I asked as she slid into the booth. "Mom and Dad had something come up. Alicia and Darius are dealing with work stuff." Work stuff on a Saturday. Janelle picked at her breadstick. "Darius's company is in trouble. Some kind of investment scheme went sideways." I pushed down the shameful flutter of satisfaction. "How bad?" "Bad enough that they put the Hamptons house and the boat on the market." "Alicia's been calling family for short-term loans." "Have they asked you for money?" Malik asked gently. "Not yet," Janelle said. "They haven't called you, have they?" "No," I said. "But then again, we're just simple farm folk." Later that week, we were harvesting late summer tomatoes when my phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello. Imani," my mother said, voice shaky. "Could you come by Saturday? There's something we need to discuss as a family." The phrase chilled me. It never meant anything good. I looked at Malik, whose shoulders had gone tense. "We'll be there," I said. "Family meeting?" Malik asked after I hung up. "They're going to ask for money," I said. He nodded once, jaw tight. Saturday arrived gray and drizzly. "Whatever they ask," Malik said as we pulled into my parents' driveway, "remember you don't owe them anything." I stared at the house where I'd grown up. It looked smaller than I remembered. I'll be fine. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Emergency family meeting. Please come. We need you. Alicia. The living room felt like a courtroom. My parents sat on the couch, older than I remembered. Alicia perched on the armchair, her composure cracked. Darius stood by the window. Janelle hovered on the ottoman, apologetic. Amani, Malik, my father said, gesturing to two chairs placed just so. Thank you for coming. What's this about? I asked. The family is facing financial challenges, Reginald said. How significant? Malik asked. My mother swallowed. We could lose everything. Darius made some investments on our behalf, Reginald added. Investments that didn't pan out. I'm sorry to hear that, I said carefully. But why tell us? Because we need your help, Alicia said, desperation finally edging her voice. Your land, my father said bluntly. The farm. We need you to sell it. The word struck like a slap. You want us to sell our home, I said slowly, to fix your mistakes. It's about family, Darius snapped. About doing what's right. What's right is asking us to sacrifice everything we've built. I asked. Alicia stood, composure unraveling. Amani, you're playing house on a patch of dirt. This is real life. Real consequences. Real consequences for choices you made, I said. We're family, my mother cried, tears finally falling. Family helps family. Where was that loyalty when you mocked everything we built? I stood, my hands shaking. When you treated Malik like dirt under your shoes? You're being dramatic, Alicia said, but her voice trembled. We need an answer by Monday, Reginald said, hard now. The creditors won't wait. Monday. I stared. 2 days to decide whether to destroy our lives for you. You don't have children, Alicia shot back, low and cruel. You don't understand what's at stake. Malik's jaw tightened. We're leaving, I said, grabbing my purse. Please just think about it, my mother begged. I will, I said at the door. And you should think about what kind of people ask their family to lose everything to fix their mistakes. You'll come to your senses, my father called after us. After everything we've done for you. Malik paused at the truck, knuckles white on the door handle. What we owe them, I said loudly. After 30 years of being the family disappointment. What exactly do we owe? No one answered. The drive home was silent, except for gravel crunching under our tires. Our farmhouse came into view, the evening light turning the fields gold. Everything I ever wanted was here. I need to show you something, Malik said as we parked. I'm not selling, I said. I know, he replied. That's not what this is about. He led me to the barn office and opened a filing cabinet I'd never seen him touch. Sit, he said, spreading papers across the desk. Legal documents, patents, financial statements with numbers that made my head swim. What is all this? This is the irrigation system we use on the North Field, he said, tapping a patent. I patented it 3 years ago. It's used on farms across the Midwest. He pulled another document. Predictive soil analysis software. Also patented. Licensed nationwide. Why didn't you tell me? I asked. I want to be sure, he said. To build something real before talking about it. How big is this? He slid a financial statement across the desk. The number at the bottom made me blink hard. Is that our company? Stone Agricultural Technologies, he said softly. I started it 5 years ago, right after we got married. Our land is the testing ground. You've been running a tech company this whole time, I murmured. A very quiet one, he said. Most clients don't know where the innovations come from. They just know the systems work. Why let my family believe we were just farmers? Because I wanted to see who they were when they thought we had nothing to offer, he said. The words landed heavy. You knew how they saw us and let it stand. I let them reveal themselves, he said. But I never wanted you to feel small. Yet you allowed it, I whispered. Silence pressed in. There's more, he said. Darius's firm? He shorted our stock, including your parents' retirement fund. I sank back. He lost their money betting against us. My phone buzzed. A text from Janelle. They're coming to the farm tomorrow. All of them. Dad says they won't take no for an answer. I showed Malik the message. He read it, then looked up with something like resolve. Let them come. What are you planning? To give them what they've always asked for, he said. A real education about who we are and what we're worth. They arrived like a storm front. 3 cars at exactly 2 o'clock, dust settling on their paint jobs. My parents looked grim. Alicia clutched a leather portfolio. Darius adjusted his tie, as if heading into a boardroom. Even little Tiffany came, 8 years old and confused in her white dress. Malik straightened his button-down and boots. He'd insisted on dressing exactly like he always did. The knock on the door was sharp, my father's knock. I opened it to find them arranged like a delegation. "We need to talk," Reginald said. "Come in," I said. They filed into the living room, eyes flicking over the simple furniture, handmade quilts, family photos, seeing it all differently, measuring its liquidation value. "Please sit," Malik said, gesturing. "We'd rather stand," Darius said tightly. "This won't take long." My father laid a folder on the coffee table. "We brought the paperwork. Sale documents for the property. We already had it appraised and found a buyer. Just sign." "You appraised our land without asking us." I asked. "Time is a factor," my mother said. "Whose time?" Malik asked mildly. "Don't play games," Darius snapped. "You know what's at stake. Your parents could lose their house. We could lose everything. Tiffany's future. What's happening?" Tiffany tugged on her father's sleeve. "Nothing, sweetheart," Alicia said quickly. "The adults are talking. About family," my mother said, eyes on me. "About how family takes care of each other." I felt old Gil creeping in. Malik watched the scene with an unreadable expression. "You're right," he said suddenly. "Family should take care of each other." Relief crossed my mother's face. "Which is why," Malik continued, walking to his desk, "we should have an honest conversation about this family." He returned with a thick folder and sat. "What is that?" Alicia asked. "Information," Malik said, "about who we are and what this patch of dirt actually is." "We don't have time for this," my father said. "We need a decision." "You'll get one," Malik replied. "First, Darius, what would you say this farm is worth?" Darius glanced around. "Maybe 200 grand. 3 if you're lucky." "Interesting," Malik said. He opened the folder and slid a document onto the table. "What if I told you this is the research and development headquarters for a company worth $50 million? The room went silent. "Stone Agricultural Technologies," Malik said evenly. "Perhaps you've heard of it." Darius went pale. "That's impossible." "Patent number," Malik recited, placing documents one by one. "Advanced irrigation systems, predictive soil analytics, licensing across multiple states." My mother stared as if the pages were in a foreign language. "I don't understand." "It's simple," Malik said. "While you were looking down on us, we built something significant." "You're just a farmer," my father said weakly. "I'm a farmer with a PhD in agricultural engineering from MIT, Malik replied. "And the CEO of a company changing how food is grown in this country." Alicia sank into a chair. "This can't be real." "Oh, it's real," Malik said, placing a financial statement on the table. The numbers made Darius flinch. "But there's more. You didn't just know our company, Darius. You bet against it. You convinced clients, including my in-laws, to short our stock." The silence was absolute. "You lost their retirement money gambling that we would fail," Malik said. "You were so sure anything tied to simple farmers was worthless that you staked everything on it." The front door opened, and a man in an immaculate suit stepped in. "Sorry I'm late," he said, setting a briefcase down. "Traffic." "Everyone," Malik said, calm. "This is our attorney, Calvin Pierce." Calvin opened his briefcase and arranged papers with surgical precision. The sale documents my father had brought looked flimsy beside them. "Basics," Calvin said, adjusting his glasses. "The property is owned outright by Stone Agricultural Technologies, wholly owned by Malik and Imani Stone. No liens, no mortgages, no encumbrances." "Impossible," my father said. "We helped with the down payment. Repaid with interest 18 months after purchase," Calvin replied, sliding canceled checks across the table. "Any attempt to force a sale would be inadvisable," Calvin continued. "The property is protected under agricultural preservation statutes, and ongoing research here has federal grant protections." "Federal grants," my mother whispered. "The Department of Agriculture is very interested in our work," Malik said. "We're developing drought-resistant crop systems that could change outcomes in climate-affected regions." "This doesn't change that we're family," Darius said hoarsely. "We need help." "Let's talk about family," I said, standing. I picked up a framed photo from the mantel. My college graduation. Remember this day? I graduated summa cum laude in environmental science. You told me it wasn't a real degree, Dad, that I'd wasted 4 years on dirt and plants. I set it down and picked up another. Our wedding. And this day, when I married the love of my life. You apologized to people for my poor choice. You hoped I'd come to my senses. Alicia was crying now, mascara tracking down her cheeks. We didn't mean. You meant every word, I said. You called our life a joke. You said real life happens on Wall Street, not in our bubble. You didn't know and didn't care to know. Calvin cleared his throat. One more matter. We've been tracking short positions against our stock. Significant trades require SEC reporting. The positions were taken through Pinnacle Investment Group, where Mr. Darius Coleman serves as senior partner. Total exposure, approximately $2.3 million. 17 client retirement accounts. 17 families, Malik said quietly. 17 families who trusted you. It was a sure thing, Darius whispered. AG tech startups fail 90% of the time. The odds are that you do your homework, Calvin said. Did you visit the company? Research patents? Examine leadership credentials? Silence. We can sue, my father blurted. For the losses. Calvin smiled without warmth. Please do. I would love to explain to a jury how your son-in-law lost your retirement money betting against your daughter's company. The optics will be fascinating. What do you want? Alicia asked, voice broken. What do you want from us? I looked at the people who shared my blood, but had never been my refuge. My parents, who had made me feel small for decades. My sister, who had weaponized cruelty. Darius, arrogant and reckless. And Tiffany, innocent and watchful. I want you to leave, I said. Walk out that door and do not come back. Imani, please, my mother begged. We're sorry. We made mistakes, but we're family. No, I said, the word clean and final. Family does not treat each other like this. Family does not crawl back only when they need something. What about Tiffany's future? Alicia asked, desperate. Her future was your responsibility, I said gently. You gambled it away. You'll regret this, Alicia warned. When you're old and alone, you'll remember this day. I will, I said, as the day I stopped letting you define my worth. They filed out like mourners leaving a funeral. Through the window, I watched the dust settle in their wake. For the first time in 30 years, the silence felt like freedom. Calvin snapped his briefcase shut. That went about as expected, he said. People show you who they are when they're desperate. After he left, Malik and I sat on the porch and watched the sun sink over our fields. The same fields they called worthless dirt only hours before. Do you think I was too harsh? I asked. Malik traced patterns on the railing. Do you remember Alicia's toast at our wedding? The mud. Hard to forget. I knew then that something like today would come. They never saw us, Imani. They saw what made them feel superior. They're still my family, I said softly. Are they? He asked. The question hung between us. My phone rang. Janelle. I should take this, Malik said. She's different. Hello. I answered. Imani. Janelle said, voice thick with tears. I'm so sorry. I knew how they treated you, and I stayed neutral. There is no neutral when someone you love is being hurt. You were caught in the middle, I said. I was a coward, she replied. Now Dad's telling people you abandoned the family. Mom says you destroyed their lives. Alicia is bitter and keeps saying you planned this. We didn't set anyone up, I said. We stopped pretending to be less than we are. I know. Can you forgive me? I looked out over our land, the life we had built. You're calling now. That matters. I want to see you, she said. No agenda. I miss my sister. Come for dinner Sunday, I said. Just you. After I hung up, Malik squeezed my hand. One down, he said. Think any of the others will come around. Does it matter? I asked. The fear I once had about losing my family had evaporated, replaced by something steadier. The next morning, I was in the garden when a sedan pulled into the driveway. A woman in jeans and a simple blouse stepped out, carrying a manila folder. Mrs. Stone, she called. I'm Dr. Angela Brooks from the Department of Agriculture. I hope to speak with you and your husband about your drought resistance research. Malik emerged from the barn, wiping his hands. Dr. Brooks, good to see you. The preliminary results you sent were remarkable, she said, shaking his hand. We'd like to fast-track grant approval for the expanded trials. Grant approval? I asked. 2.7 million over 3 years, she said, smiling. Your work could change how we approach farming in drought-affected regions. We're talking about feeding millions. I stared at Malik. I wanted to be sure before I got your hopes up, he said. But yes, we're about to get very busy. As they talked research protocols and timelines, I thought about my family's visit. They demanded we sacrifice everything to save them, never realizing they were asking us to destroy something that could help feed the world. They had called us small, insignificant, and worthless. Meanwhile, we were quietly working on something that mattered more than any status symbol or portfolio. That evening, we walked our fields under a sky painted orange and pink. Any regrets? Malik asked. I thought about my mother's tears, Alicia's desperation, Tiffany's wide eyes. I thought about the years of humiliation, the doubt pressed into me. No, I said, and meant it. Even about your family. They made their choice a long time ago, I said. They chose not to see us. They chose to bet against us, literally and figuratively. I stopped and faced him. I choose us. I choose this life, this work, this future. Malik's smile was the same gentle curve that made me fall in love with him. Good. I have plans for us. Big plans. He gestured to the fields. Bigger than a $50 million company. Bigger. I asked, half laughing. Much bigger, he said. We're going to change the world, one seed at a time. We walked back to the house, the porch light glowing like a promise. Something inside me had shifted. The part of me that once craved my family's approval had fallen away. In its place was something clean and strong. I was exactly where I belonged, with exactly the right person, doing exactly the work I was meant to do. And for the first time in my life, that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.